What if the very thing you believe is protecting you is actually the reason you'll break? Every year, a man would build a dam, pouring all his effort into making it stronger, higher, more unbreakable, convinced that this time he could control the flood and protect everything he loved. And for a while it worked, until one year the river rose beyond his expectations. The pressure became unbearable, and the dam shattered, unleashing a destruction far worse than if he had done nothing at all. Standing in the ruins of his home, he realized a brutal truth. His obsession with control didn't make him safer, it made him weaker. Because he relied on one fragile solution, he ignored other ways to adapt, to prepare, to survive, and worst of all, he never prepared for failure itself. This is the paradox of control. The more tightly we try to control the uncontrollable, the more vulnerable we become. We think we can outsmart life, predict every outcome, secure every future. But life doesn't work like that. Fate doesn't ask for permission. And the harder we try to dominate external circumstances, the more we expose ourselves to their unpredictability. History echoes this lesson through the story of King Canute, who once commanded the ocean to stop its tide-ass, if power alone could bend reality. But the sea ignored him completely, rising as it always does, forcing him to confront an uncomfortable truth. There are forces in this world that no authority, no intelligence, no preparation can command. And yet we make the same mistake every day. We think we control people until they choose their own path. We think we control our bodies until time, illness, and aging remind us otherwise. This illusion of control is deeply human, but also deeply dangerous. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, some things are within our control, our thoughts, our actions, our choices, but most things are not. Our reputation, our possessions, even our own bodies. And the moment we confuse the two, we suffer. Because trying to control what is not ours to control only leads to frustration, anxiety, and ultimately collapse. But when we shift our focus inward, when we master our responses instead of the world around us, we become resilient, grounded, and unshaken by chaos. And if that lesson still feels unclear, the ancient Taoist story makes it even simpler. A farmer loses his horse bad luck, they say. The horse returns with another good luck. His son breaks his leg, bad luck. The army arrives, but spares his son good luck. And through it all, the farmer simply responds, who knows what's good or bad? Because life doesn't move in straight lines. What you fear today may save you tomorrow. What you celebrate today may cost you later. And that is why control is an illusion, because we are judging moments without seeing the whole story. So the real power lies not in controlling everything, but in accepting what you cannot and mastering what you can. Because the moment you stop trying to control the river is the moment you finally learn how to flow with it. What if the thing you're desperately trying to avoid is actually the doorway to everything you've ever wanted? Imagine someone living in constant fear of losing her job, years of anxiety, sleepless nights, and silent panic, all in an effort to hold on to something that never truly felt secure. And then one day, it happens, she's laid off. Everything she feared becomes real. At first, it feels like the end. But slowly, something shifts. Instead of clinging to what's gone, she takes a risk. She follows a dream she had buried for years, opening her own small coffee shop, and against all odds, with a bit of courage and a bit of fate, it becomes a massive success. In that moment, she realizes something profound. The thing she feared most was actually a blessing in disguise. All those years of stress, all that emotional suffering, it was unnecessary. And even more striking, if she had managed to control the situation and keep her job, she would have unknowingly trapped herself in a life of quiet misery, never discovering what was truly possible for her. This is the uncomfortable truth about life. What we think is fortunate may turn out to be unfortunate, and what we think is disastrous may actually save us. There is no way to know in advance, because life only makes sense when we look back. And yes, that uncertainty can feel terrifying. It raises a question we all secretly ask: will we ever make the right decision? The honest answer is we might, or we might not. But there's freedom in that uncertainty, because once you truly accept how unpredictable life is, you begin to loosen your grip on trying to control every outcome. And that's where everything changes. Because the paradox of control is simple but brutal. The more you try to control what you cannot, the more it controls you. The moment you attach your happiness to external outcomes, you hand over your peace to something unstable. If things go your way, you feel good. If they don't, you collapse into frustration, anxiety, or anger. So now, the very thing you tried to control is controlling you. Think about raising children. The tighter you try to control them, the more their behavior dictates your emotional state. Or think about people in general. You cannot control their actions, their opinions, or their choices, no matter how hard you try. And yet, we keep trying, because deep down, we believe control equals security. But as Epictetus warned, trying to control what is not within our power will only lead to a life filled with frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. Still, we chase control because without it, we feel exposed, vulnerable, almost powerless in front of fate. But maybe that's the illusion. As Alan Watts once said, the desire for security and the feeling of insecurity are actually the same thing. The tighter you hold on, the more you feel like you're losing control. So the real question becomes, why do we crave control so much? And the answer is, uncomfortably, it comes from insecurity. We fear the unknown. We fear uncertainty. We fear not knowing what's coming next. And so we try to control everything around us, believing it will protect us from chaos. But it never does, because true security was never meant to be found in the outside world. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Real peace comes from within, from building a mindset that can handle uncertainty, not eliminate it. When you accept that life is unpredictable, you stop wasting energy trying to control it, and instead, you start focusing on what is actually within your power, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. As Seneca wisely said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of our fear isn't about what's happening, it's about what might happen. And by letting go of this imagined need for control, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. You become adaptable, resilient, unshaken, because now, instead of fighting life, you're working with it. And in that state, you discover a deeper strength, the ability to face whatever comes. Not because you control it, but because you trust yourself to handle it. As Carl Jung said, you are not what happens to you. You are what you choose to become. And that is where real power lies. Not in controlling the world, but in mastering yourself